On behalf of the group of the Alliance on Liberals and Democrats, Mr. Verhofstadt.
First of all, Chancellor, and dear, thank you for your inspiring speech. I think it's a good time to talk about the future of Europe and to hear a net contributor giving some good arguments against another net contributor to the other side of the channel. So you see, a net contributor is not the same as another net contributor. Because I have to say, and Mr. Feynman, you have already mentioned it, I think in an interview a few days ago, I see also big confusion about the future of Europe across the channel. I should say not because of the traditional fuck, but because apparently Mr. Cameron has difficulty to agree with himself on the content, but he has already an agreement with himself on the date and on the place for his historic speech. Because it has to be an historic speech on Friday on the future of Europe, better than Margaret Thatcher in Bruges did. Nevertheless, when I read again, I did it, the speech of Margaret Thatcher in Bruges in 1988, it was a far pro-European speech, I have to tell you. She said, I quote Margaret Thatcher today, and she said, we have to do more together. That's exactly the opposite of what Mr. Cameron wants to do on Friday. But let me already in this debate, Mr. Chairman, and in the presence of Mr. Feynman, reply to Mr. Cameron, because we already know what he shall say on Friday, and I think that I can say it in the name of the majority in this House here. There can be no question about an individual renegotiation by a single member state, not by Britain and not by any other country in the European Union, because there is a simple reason for that. We need one European Union, a single European Union, and not a European Union à la carte, as we have today, with opt-ins and opt-outs and derogations and exceptions and rebates. Believe me, I think that what kills the Union today is that Union à la carte. You have a Union of the 6, that's the founding fathers. You have the Union of the 12, that is the minimum required to start with the fiscal compact. You have the Union of the 15, you have the Union of the 17, that's the euro area. That's the union of the 25, you have it also, that's the European patent, that is Schengen, and we have the normal union, the union of the 27. You have to tell, Mr. Chairman, you have to recognise that the union is a strange animal. A strange animal. Some member states are not obliged to participate in union policies, where other countries are invited and allowed to outside the union to participate in our policy. Schengen, for example. Switzerland makes part of Schengen, but Britain, part of the Union, is not part of Schengen. So how you can explain that to citizens? A Europe à la carte, where you pick and choose. Well, I can tell you a renegotiation by the UK and by another country, by any other country, can only make this worse. And moreover, I think that a European Union à la carte, as now Mr. Cameron shall tell us on Friday, can only kill the single market. If you can pick and choose what shall be left of the single market. If the French, for example, saying, oh, we like industrial policy, we don't like the competition rules. Or the Germans are saying, oh, we like the single market in goods, but not the single market in services. What shall be left of the single market? Let's be honest, and let Mr. Cameron be honest about it. A renegotiation, as he wants, means in fact either a Brexit or the end of the single market and in fact the end of the European Union. And this, colleagues, is not in the interest of our citizens and certainly not in the interest of the British citizens, because it can only lead to the disappearance of the single market or to a second-class membership of Britain, something between Mr. Cameron, Norway and Switzerland, countries that pay and have no say. And I think it's a stupidity for a country with 53% of his exports going to the continent and to the rest of Europe. And it's even so stupid that Britain's best friends, the US, don't understand it at all the last days and the last weeks. So let me conclude, Mr. Chairman. We don't need an individual renegotiation to reduce what we have in common. What we need is exactly the opposite of what Mr. Cameron shall tell us on Friday. We need a common effort to establish a more integrated Europe. Because if we want to face, Mr. Feynman, all the challenges you have rightly mentioned in your speech, only a more integrated Europe can face these challenges, and not individual renegotiations by one or other member state in the Union. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Verhofstadt. On behalf of the group of the Greens, I'd now like to hand the floor to Mrs. Rebecca Harms. Yes, thank you very much, President. And Commission representative, also to you, Mr. Feynman, Chancellor. I must